In 1800, there were close to 1 million slaves in America. There would be just under 4 million slaves by the time of the Civil War. In the first 2 decades of the same century, America expanded west. So did the national division over slavery. In 1820, northern and southern states struck a compromise, the Missouri Compromise, named for America's newest slave state. In 1783, the original 13 colonies gained their independence from England. Immediately, they faced the need to organize lands that belonged to America but were not yet states. In 1787, Congress passed the Northwest Ordinance, intended to create territories within U.S. boundaries. The ordinance prohibited slavery in present-day Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, Wisconsin, and parts of Minnesota. Altogether, what was called the Northwest Territory. This early legislative action set a precedent for restricting the expansion of slavery in new territories. In 1803, the Louisiana Purchase doubled the size of the United States. It also raised questions about whether slavery would be allowed in the newly acquired western lands. In 1818, Missouri applied for statehood as a slave state. Slavery had been introduced to the region in 1720 when Philippe Francois Renaud brought 500 black slaves up the Mississippi River to work lead mines in Missouri and Illinois. Now Missourians sought to protect the right to own slaves as they applied to become a state. In 1819, Representative James Talmage Jr. of New York proposed an amendment to the Missouri Statehood Bill. The amendment aimed to prohibit the further introduction of slaves into Missouri and declare all children born into slavery there free at the age of 25. The Talmage proposal ignited a fierce debate in Congress. After the War of 1812, there had been nearly a decade of domestic peace, what was called the Era of Good Feelings in America. That period of unity came to an abrupt and shocking end. Georgia Representative Thomas W. Cobb openly warned James Talmage that he had kindled a fire which only seas of blood could extinguish, a blatant threat of civil war. The Missouri Compromise was largely written by Henry Clay, a Kentuckian and a member of the Democratic-Republican Party. The compromise was enacted in 1820 without the Talmage Amendment, which would have restricted slaveholders in Missouri. It encompassed 3 main provisions. First, Missouri was admitted as a slave state. Second, to maintain the balance in the Senate, Maine, which had been part of Massachusetts, was admitted as a free state. Third, and perhaps most significantly, a dividing line was drawn across the Louisiana Purchase territory. North of the line, slavery was prohibited in territories and future states, with the exception of Missouri itself. South of the line, slavery was permitted. While the Missouri Compromise temporarily diffused the immediate crisis, it did not resolve the fundamental issue of slavery. It merely postponed a larger confrontation, setting a precedent for future debates over the expansion of slavery. The compromise's geographical division highlighted the growing north-south division within the country. An aging Thomas Jefferson described the acrimony that struck at the heart of the country's unity, a fire bell in the night. The former president gloomily predicted that the compromise would be the end of the republic. In 1821, Missouri officially became the 24th state of the United States. Mounting tensions surrounding slavery's expansion had been temporarily relieved. Alas, neither the law nor the peace would hold. In 1857, in the Dred Scott decision, the Missouri Compromise was declared null and void. Congress had no authority, the Supreme Court ruled, to ban slavery in any American territory. 6 years later, after 30 hours of bombardment, Federal Officer Major Robert Anderson surrendered Fort Sumner to Confederate General P.T.G. Beauregard. America had run dry on compromise. Fort Sumner would prove to be the first battle in the only war in all of history to end slavery.